"Morning, honey," Clara said as I walked into the kitchen. She was already dressed, flipping pancakes, something she hadn't done in months. I blinked. "You're up early," she smiled, that perfect practiced smile. "I thought I'd surprise you. You've been working too hard." Her voice was soft, almost too soft. I sat down, watching her move around the kitchen like we were newlyweds again. "Smells good," I said, trying to sound casual. "It should," she replied with a laugh that felt a little forced. "I used your favorite syrup." She placed a plate in front of me, then leaned down and kissed my forehead. The warmth of her lips didn't reach her eyes. "So, what's the occasion?" I asked. "Breakfast in bed yesterday, now pancakes?" "Did I miss our anniversary?" She laughed again, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Can't a wife spoil her husband without being questioned?" "You can," I said, smiling faintly. "It's just unusual." She sat across from me, chin resting on her hands. "Maybe I just realized how lucky I am," she said. The words hit me wrong. Clara never said things like that without a reason. I looked at her long enough to see the twitch in her jaw, the one she gets when she's nervous. I cut into the pancake, pretending everything was normal. "Lucky, huh?" "Yeah," she said quickly. "We've been through a lot." I was thinking about us, about our future. There it was, the shift in her tone, the kind that comes before something big. I looked up slowly. "Our future?" She nodded. "I was thinking maybe it's time." "Time for what?" "For a baby." The fork slipped from my hand and hit the plate with a dull clink. My chest tightened. "A baby?" "Yes." Her eyes lit up, or maybe they just reflected the morning light. "We've been married 5 years, Ethan. Don't you think it's time we started a family?" My heart beat faster, not from excitement but confusion. "You've never wanted kids before." "You said we should wait," she laughed softly. "People change." "I've changed." Something inside me twisted. My mother's words echoed in my mind like a warning bell. When someone hides guilt, they overcompensate with kindness. I forced a smile. "You sure this isn't just because your friends are having babies?" "Of course not." Her smile didn't waver. "I've just been thinking about what really matters." Her phone buzzed on the counter. She reached for it quickly, pressing the side button to silence it. "Work," she said too fast. "Work calls early these days," I muttered. She frowned. "You don't trust me?" I didn't say that. Her shoulders stiffened. "You hesitated." I didn't hesitate, I lied. "Just surprised, that's all." "You're acting different lately?" "Different how?" she asked, crossing her arms. "Just nicer," I said, forcing a laugh. "You even made breakfast." I didn't know what to do with that. She smiled again, but her eyes darted toward the phone. "I'm trying, Ethan, I really am." "Don't you want us to be happy again?" "I do," I said quietly. "I just want it to be real." "It is real," she snapped, then softened. "Can't you just believe that for once?" I stared at her. The woman I married used to look at me like I was her home. Now her gaze slipped past me, somewhere distant, guarded. She reached across the table, resting her hand on mine. "I know things haven't been perfect, but I'm ready to fix that. I want to make new memories. Maybe a baby could bring us closer." Her hand felt cold against my skin. I nodded slowly, pretending to consider it. "If that's what you really want." "It is," she said firmly. I watched her gather her purse, check her phone again, and give me a quick kiss before leaving. When the door shut, the silence pressed on me like weight. I stared at the half-eaten pancakes and thought about how love used to taste sweet, not suspicious. I picked up her coffee mug, lipstick mark on the rim, and whispered to myself, "You're trying too hard, Clara." Then my mother's voice returned, calm and certain. "When someone hides guilt, they overcompensate with kindness." I set the mug down. I didn't want to believe it, but somewhere deep inside I already did, and for the first time her smile scared me. "Working late again?" I asked, standing by the doorway as Clara slipped on her coat. She smiled without meeting my eyes. "Yeah, big campaign deadline. I might be late." "You've been late a lot this week." She turned, brushing her hair behind her ear. "That's what happens when you actually have a job, Ethan." The jab stung. I swallowed it. "I didn't mean it like that." "I know." She glanced at her phone, then slipped it into her purse. "Don't wait up, okay?" "I never do," I muttered. "What?" "Nothing." "Be careful." She gave me that soft half smile again, the one that used to warm me. Now it just felt rehearsed. The door closed and silence filled the room like static. I sat on the couch, staring at the faint lipstick mark on her coffee cup. Something in my chest tightened. By the third night that week, the pattern became impossible to ignore. New perfume, shorter answers, phone always face down. Every little thing felt like a whisper behind a closed door. At dinner on Friday, I tried to sound normal. "So how's work?" "Busy," she said, cutting her chicken. "Who's in the new project with you?" She shrugged. "The usual team. Daniel still helping you with designs?" She froze for a second. "Just a second." "Sometimes, why?" "Just asking." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't start, Ethan." "Start what?" "You always think I'm hiding something when I'm not." "Then unlock your phone." She put down her fork. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." She stared at me for a long moment before standing. "I'm not doing this." "I'm tired. Clara..." She walked off to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I sat there staring at my plate, listening to the echo of that slam. My hands were shaking, and I didn't even realize it until the fork slipped from my grip. Later that night, I heard the shower running. I walked to the living room, needing air. Her phone was on the counter, screen lighting up with a soft buzz. I shouldn't have looked. I know I shouldn't have. But I did. A message flashed across the screen. "Can't wait to see you again." I froze. My stomach dropped. The name under it burned into me. Daniel Hayes, my best friend. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My pulse roared in my ears. I picked up the phone, staring at the words as if reading them slower would make them mean something else. Another message appeared. Tonight was perfect. I almost dropped the phone. My vision blurred. The shower kept running. Her voice hummed faintly behind the door. She sounded happy. I set the phone down carefully like it might explode and stepped back. My thoughts turned to Daniel, his easy grin, his loyalty, his promises to always have my back. How long had they been laughing behind mine? The water shut off. I moved to the couch, pretending to scroll through my own phone. When Clara walked out in her towel, her hair damp, she smiled. "You're still up?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "Couldn't sleep," she sat beside me. "You've been weird lately." "Have I?" "Yeah, you're distant." I almost laughed. "Funny. I was thinking the same about you." She frowned. "Is this about earlier?" "Because if you don't trust me..." "I didn't say that." "You don't have to. It's written all over your face." Her tone softened. "Ethan, I love you, okay? I know things feel different lately, but we can fix that." I looked at her, studying the way her lips moved, the way her eyes darted when she lied. "Yeah," I whispered. "We can fix it," she smiled, leaning her head on my shoulder. "Good, because I don't want to lose you." Her warmth pressed against me, but it felt hollow, like holding smoke. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. The lie came out smoother than I expected. She sighed with relief, completely unaware that everything had already changed. When she fell asleep, I sat in the dark for a long time, replaying Daniel's messages over and over. I thought of every late night, every excuse, every fake smile, and yet I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed her truth to come out by her own hands. As the clock struck midnight, I whispered into the dark, "How long have you been lying to me?" She stirred slightly, mumbling something soft. I stared at her sleeping face, the same face I once called home, and I felt something inside me start to die. But even as pain consumed me, I forced myself still, because now, I wasn't just her husband, I was the man waiting to catch her lie. "Working late again?" I asked casually, watching Clara slip her laptop into her bag. She nodded. "Yeah, you know how it is." I smiled faintly. "Sure, don't stay out too late." She hesitated for half a second, then leaned in and kissed my cheek. Love you too," I murmured, though the words felt foreign now. The door clicked shut, and for a moment, the silence hummed against my chest. I grabbed my keys. If she was working late, I'd see it for myself. I followed her car through the city, keeping my headlights low. Every turn she took added another stone to the weight in my stomach. She wasn't heading toward her office. She pulled into a small restaurant on the west side, quiet, dim lights glowing through the windows. I parked a block away, heart pounding, palms slick. Inside, through the glass, I saw her and him Daniel Hayes, my best friend. My brother in everything but blood. They sat close, laughing over wine like a couple who'd done this 1,000 times. Clara's laugh was louder, freer, the kind she hadn't used with me in months. I whispered to myself, "No. No, it can't be." Daniel leaned forward, saying something I couldn't hear, and she touched his hand. Just a small touch, but it was enough to tear something inside me. My throat burned. I wanted to storm in, flip the table, ask her why him. Ask him how could you. But I didn't move. I just watched. Minutes stretched like hours. She tilted her head back, smiling in that way I used to love. He reached across, brushed her wrist. She didn't pull away. I sank lower in my seat, gripping the steering wheel. My mind screamed, "This isn't real!" But it was. Their faces glowed in the candlelight, two people sharing secrets that once belonged to me. When she laughed again, something inside me snapped. "You're laughing at me," I whispered. "You both are." I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. My pulse thundered, my stomach twisted. For years I'd trusted them, the two people I thought would never betray me. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara, "Don't wait up." Still working. The lie stared back at me like poison. I wanted to reply, "I know where you are." But I didn't. Instead, I watched them get up. Daniel touched her lower back as they walked out. She didn't stop him. They stood near the parking lot, faces close, words lost in the night air. She smiled again before getting into her car. He watched her drive off, and then he left too. I followed her from a distance, headlights off for half the way. She didn't suspect a thing. At home, she parked, walked in like nothing had happened, humming softly under her breath. I entered a few minutes later, forcing calm. "Hey," I said quietly. She turned, surprised. "You're home early." "So are you." "Yeah, I finished faster than I thought." She smiled, walking over to kiss me. "Missed you." The smell of her perfume hit me, something floral, not the one she usually wore. Daniel's cologne was faint underneath it. "Long night?" I asked, steadying my voice. "Mm-hmm." She dropped her bag on the couch. "Exhausting." I nodded, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. "You hungry?" "No, I grabbed a bite with the team." "The team," I repeated. "Yeah," she said quickly, heading toward the bedroom. "I just need a shower." When she disappeared into the bathroom, I sank into a chair, my hands trembling. The sound of the shower filled the air, same as the night I found the messages. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. "Say something," a voice inside me screamed. "Confront her. Don't let her lie again." But I couldn't. She came back out 20 minutes later, smiling softly. "You're still awake?" "Yeah, just thinking." She leaned over, kissed me goodnight. Her lips were warm, but they carried someone else's ghost. "Sleep soon," she whispered. I forced a nod. "Yeah." She turned off the light and crawled into bed beside me, her breathing steady, peaceful. I lay there, staring into the dark. My chest felt hollow, my mind replaying every second of what I saw. Daniel's hand, her laughter, the touch, the lie. When she whispered, half asleep, "Love you," I whispered back, "Yeah, me too." But in my head, I was screaming, because I finally knew what betrayal looked like, and it had both of their faces. "Coffee?" Clara asked, her voice dripping with sweetness as she placed the cup in front of me. I stared at her. "You've been making me breakfast every morning lately. What's gotten into you?" She smiled, soft but rehearsed. "Can't a wife do something nice for her husband?" "Of course," I said, forcing a smile. "It's just unusual." She sat across from me, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "I've been thinking a lot lately. About us, about family." There it was again, family. The word that used to fill me with warmth now curdled in my stomach. "Oh?" I asked casually, sipping the coffee. "You mean kids?" Her eyes flickered with a light I didn't trust. "Yeah, don't you think it's time? We've been married 4 years. Maybe it's time to start fresh. Start fresh." I repeated, trying to sound neutral. She nodded eagerly. "A baby changes everything. It gives life purpose. It brings people closer. Or traps them together," I said before I could stop myself. Her smile faltered for half a second, then returned. "Why would you say that?" I shrugged. "Just an observation." She reached for my hand. "I want this, Aaron, I really do." Don't you? Her fingers were warm, but they felt foreign. She's overcompensating again. My mother's voice echoed in my mind, that old warning. When someone hides guilt, they overcompensate with kindness. I squeezed her hand gently. If it makes you happy, we'll talk about it. Her face lit up like she'd won. Really? Yeah, I said quietly. We'll talk. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside her, watching the rise and fall of her breathing, listening to the faint buzz of her phone on the nightstand. She turned it face down again. I waited until she drifted into deep sleep before I reached over and unplugged my charger. The screen lit up. Daniel. Miss you already. I stared at the name, bile rising in my throat. My best friend. The man who stood beside me at my wedding. My hands shook, but my mind was clear. No confrontation. Not yet. I slipped out of bed and went into the living room, my phone in hand. I opened the voice recorder app and hit record. The next morning, I played my role. You look tired, she said, brushing her hair. Didn't sleep much, I replied. Work stress, she kissed my cheek. You work too hard. I'm doing it for us. She smiled that same hollow smile. You're the best. Later, when she went shopping, I opened my laptop and synced her phone to it. The messages between her and Daniel were careful. No names, just initials, emojis, fragments of longing. But they were there, enough to make my chest ache. At dinner, she set the table, humming softly. I bought your favorite wine, she said. Let's celebrate something. What are we celebrating? She looked up, eyes glimmering. A new beginning. Another fresh start? I asked, my tone sharper than intended. Yes, I know things have been strange lately, but I want us to be okay again. To love each other like before. Like before, I echoed, swirling the wine. Sure, she took a sip, then leaned forward. I made an appointment tomorrow. My pulse quickened. For what? The clinic. To talk about fertility. I almost laughed. You move fast. I just don't want to waste more time. I watched her closely. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Clara, I said slowly, why now? She hesitated. Because I realized what really matters. Really? Yes, you, us, our future. Our future, I thought bitterly. Or the future she was trying to secure before the walls collapsed around her. I set down my glass. Okay, let's do it your way. Her face softened with relief. Thank you. Anything for you, I said, forcing the words through clenched teeth. That night, as she showered, I copied her call history into my phone. Daniel's name appeared again, repeatedly. Always at the same hours, she claimed to be working late. The pieces were falling together. Painfully, perfectly. When she came out wrapped in a towel, she smiled. What are you looking at? Just work emails, I said smoothly. She walked over and kissed me. Don't stay up too late. I won't. She went to bed. I stayed in the dark, listening to the sound of the shower water echo in my memory. In that silence, something inside me changed. The love that once blinded me turned cold, calculating. I stopped being the husband trying to save a marriage. I became the man waiting for the truth to destroy her, and when it did, I would make sure it shattered her the way she shattered me. Clara adjusted her necklace in the mirror. Don't look so tense, she said. It's just dinner. Dinner with Daniel and Elena, I muttered. You make it sound simple. She turned, forcing a smile. They're our friends. Stop overthinking. Right, I said quietly. Friends. The drive there was silent. Her perfume, new, sweet, expensive, filled the car. The same scent I'd smelled on Daniel's jacket once. My grip tightened on the wheel. At the restaurant, Daniel stood when he saw us. Aaron, Clara! His grin was too wide, too confident. Elena smiled softly. It's been too long. Yeah, I said, shaking Daniel's hand. Too long. We sat. Daniel cracked jokes, Clara laughed too loudly, Elena smiled politely, and I played along. The clink of glasses and low jazz from the speakers filled the air like static. So, Aaron, Daniel said, cutting his steak. Work still eating your life? Something like that, I said. But at least I'm not pretending to enjoy it, he chuckled. Still got that dry humor. Clara rested her hand on my arm. He's been working hard. You should see him, he barely sleeps. Yeah, I said, glancing at her. Some nights I stay up, thinking. Daniel's fork paused midair. He glanced at Clara, who sipped her wine too quickly. Elena noticed. Her eyes flicked between them, sharp but quiet. She smiled. You two always were the golden couple, she said softly. Still are, Clara said quickly. Aren't we, Aaron? Sure, I said, my tone colder than I intended. Daniel cleared his throat. Elena's been redecorating the house again. New curtains, new plants. New everything, she smiled faintly. Keeps me busy. I leaned back, watching the two women. Change is good. Sometimes people need it. Sometimes, Elena said, her eyes locking on mine, it's a distraction. The table went still for a moment. Daniel forced a laugh. Well, cheers to distractions then. We raised our glasses. I clinked mine against Clara's. Her fingers brushed Daniel's glass instead. A small, almost invisible movement until their hands touched under the table. It lasted less than a second. But I saw it. And so did Elena. Her smile didn't falter, but her eyes hardened, just slightly. I cleared my throat. Clara, you're quiet, she laughed nervously. Just enjoying the food, Daniel nodded. It's great, isn't it? Delicious, I said flatly. You two should come here more often. Seems like you already know the menu. Clara froze. Daniel set down his knife. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, swirling my wine. Just a guess. Elena's voice was soft, steady. You okay, Clara? Clara smiled. Of course, but her hand trembled as she reached for her glass. I caught the faintest reflection of fear in her eyes. Not guilt, fear. The rest of dinner was a quiet war. Every word carried weight. Every glance was a blade. When dessert came, Daniel joked about ordering something sweet. Tiramisu? He asked. It's Clara's favorite. I didn't look up. You remember well. Clara's fork clattered against her plate. You're making it weird, Aaron. I'm just talking, I said, leaning back. That's what friends do. Elena dabbed her lips with a napkin. Maybe it's time to call it a night. Good idea, I said, standing. It's been enlightening, Clara glared at me. You're being rude, am I? I asked quietly. Didn't mean to be, Daniel forced a chuckle. Come on, man! Don't make it awkward. I met his eyes, letting silence answer for me. Outside, the night was cool. The parking lot lights flickered overhead. Clara clutched my arm. What was that back there? Dinner, I said. You said not to overthink it, she sighed. You embarrassed us, did I asked. Or did I just see something I wasn't supposed to? She pulled away, her face pale. You're imagining things. Maybe, I whispered. Maybe not. Daniel and Elena walked out moments later. He looked at us, uncertain. Elena's gaze lingered on me. Drive safe, she said gently. Clara nodded, forcing a smile. You too. They turned toward their car. I caught the way Daniel avoided my eyes. The way Elena's hand rested lightly on his arm, more restraint than affection. When Clara got into our car, I stayed outside, pretending to check my phone. It buzzed. A message. Unknown number. I opened it. Can we talk? Alone. Elena. Later that night, when Clara went to shower, my phone rang. I stepped onto the balcony, heart pounding. Hello? I whispered. Her voice was quiet but certain. I think I know. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. What do you know? I asked. About them, she said. About what's happening. You're not crazy, Aaron. I saw it too. The world seemed to stop. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know you're not alone, she said. And neither do I. Her words hung in the air, fragile and heavy. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel insane. Just hollow and seen. I was sipping coffee when Clara walked in, eyes bright, voice trembling. Aaron, she said, smiling too wide, I have something to tell you. My stomach dropped. What is it? She laughed nervously. You should probably sit down. Clara, I said, setting my mug down. You're scaring me. Her hands trembled as she held out a small plastic stick. I'm pregnant. The word hit me like a hammer. Pregnant. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My lips parted, but nothing came out. You're serious? I managed. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. Yes, Aaron, we're going to be parents. I forced a smile, one that felt glued on. Wow, that's unexpected. She threw her arms around me. I know we didn't plan this, but maybe it's what we needed. A new start, a new start. The same phrase she'd used when she'd started talking about babies. I hugged her back mechanically, my mind spinning. Daniel. It has to be Daniel. When she pulled away, she cupped my face. You're quiet. Aren't you happy? I'm just processing, I said. It's a lot, she smiled gently. I know. But it feels right, doesn't it? I nodded slowly.
Yeah, right. Inside my chest burned. At the hospital, the doctor congratulated us both.
Clara held my hand tightly, looking at me like we were in some beautiful movie. I pretended to smile, to nod, to be the doting husband everyone saw. When the doctor said, "Everything looks healthy," Clara squeezed my hand. You hear that? Healthy. Yeah, I said softly. That's great. On the way home, she talked endlessly about baby names, colors for the nursery, cravings she might get. I barely heard her. Aaron, are you listening? She asked. I am, I said. I'm just tired, she grinned. You're going to be a dad. Get used to tired. That night, after she fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling. The sound of her breathing felt foreign, like a stranger in my bed. I whispered to the dark, "Is this really happening?" My phone screen glowed faintly. I opened a private tab and searched discrete paternity testing. My finger hovered before I pressed call. A calm voice answered, "Hello, DNA Verify Services. How can I assist you?" I swallowed hard. "I need a test done, quietly." "We can arrange that," the woman said. "Would you like a home kit or a lab appointment?" "Home kit," I said. "No contact." She gave instructions, her tone clinical, detached. But every word cut deeper than the last. After hanging up, I sat there for minutes, just breathing. Clara stirred beside me. "You awake?" she murmured. "Yeah," I said softly. "Just thinking," she smiled sleepily. "About the baby?" "Yeah," I whispered. The baby. Days passed. The package arrived in a plain box. I hid it in the garage under old paint cans. When Clara brushed her hair in the mornings, humming softly, I stared at her reflection. "You seem happy," I said once. "I am," she said, smiling at me in the mirror. "I feel like everything's finally falling into place." I nodded, pretending to agree. Yeah, finally. At the clinic, when they took her blood, I told her I needed to grab something from the car. I slipped out, met the technician I'd spoken to earlier, and handed him an envelope. "Keep this anonymous," I said. He nodded. "You'll have results in 3 days, 3 days. Long enough to destroy what little was left of my peace." That night, Clara held my hand in bed. "You've been distant," she whispered. "I'm just worried," I said. "It's a big change," she smiled, pressing my hand to her stomach. "You're going to be an amazing dad." My throat tightened. I hope so, but inside my thoughts screamed. What if I'm not the dad at all? The guilt crept in, ugly and sharp. What kind of man does this? What kind of husband waits for a test to decide if his wife's smile is a lie? 3 days crawled by like years. Every glance she gave me was another twist of the knife. Finally, the call came. I stepped outside to answer. "This is Aaron." "Mr. Brooks," the voice said. "We have your results. Would you like them over the phone or emailed?" "Just tell me," I said. There was a pause. "The test shows you are not the biological father." Silence. My grip loosened, and the phone nearly slipped from my hand. "Thank you," I whispered. When I went back inside, Clara was sitting on the couch, glowing, holding her stomach. "You're home early," she said. The baby was kicking. I smiled faintly. "Yeah?" She nodded. "Do you want to feel?" I stared at her hand on her belly. My voice came out hollow. "Maybe later." She laughed softly, oblivious. "You're going to be such a good dad, Aaron." I turned away before she could see the truth in my eyes. Inside, everything broke quietly. Clara was humming when I walked in. The sound made my skin crawl. "You're home early," she said, smiling. "Everything okay?" "Sit down," I said quietly, her brow furrowed. "Why?" "You're scaring me." "Sit," I repeated. She hesitated, but sat on the couch, smoothing her dress. "What's going on, Aaron?" I stood there for a moment, breathing slowly, fighting the tremor in my hands. "I got a call today," I said. "From the clinic." Her smile froze. "Clinic?" "About the test," she blinked. "What test?" "The paternity test." Her face drained of color.
You what?
I took the folded paper from my pocket, the one that had burned through me since morning. This one, I said. The one that says the baby isn't mine. She shot up from the couch. You tested our baby? Without telling me? Our baby? I repeated. You mean your baby? The one that belongs to you and Daniel? Her lips parted, trembling. That's not true. Don't lie, I said sharply. Not now. Tears welled in her eyes. I swear it's not what you think, I laughed bitterly. Then what is it, Clara? Enlighten me. Help me understand how my wife's best friend managed to become the father of her child. It was a mistake, she said, her voice cracking. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? I stepped closer. You threw away our marriage, our trust, everything, and it didn't mean anything? She covered her face. I never meant for it to happen. It was one night. I thought we were done, Aaron. You were so distant. I stared at her. So that's your excuse? I didn't talk enough, so you slept with my best friend? Her sobs grew louder. I was lonely. He was there. It just happened. It just happened, I repeated quietly, like tripping on the way to destroy someone's life. She reached for me. Please, Aaron, I still love you. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Her hands fell to her sides. I was going to tell you, she whispered. I just didn't know how, I scoffed. You were going to tell me? When? After the baby was born? Or after Daniel decided to disappear? My phone buzzed on the table. Clara glanced at it. Please don't. I silenced the call and tossed the phone aside. He wants to explain too, huh? I bet he's got his own version of the truth. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I made a mistake, Aaron. I don't want him. I want you. I stared at her shaking hands. At the woman I'd once thought I'd grow old with. Do you even hear yourself? I asked quietly. You want me now after lying for months? I didn't want to lose you, she whispered. I thought if we had a baby it would fix everything. I laughed bitterly. Fix everything? You thought bringing another man's child into our home would fix us? She crumbled onto the couch, sobbing. I didn't think. I was desperate. For a moment I just stood there. Watching her cry didn't bring satisfaction. It didn't even hurt anymore. It just felt empty. Say something, she begged. Please. I walked to the window, staring out at the night. My voice was calm when I spoke. Do you know what the worst part is? She didn't answer. I believed you, I said. Every time you smiled. Every time you said you loved me. I believed every lie. Her voice shook. Aaron, please. We can fix this. I'll end things with Daniel. I'll do whatever it takes. I turned back to her. There's nothing left to fix. She stood, reaching for me again. Don't say that. You're angry. You don't mean it. I looked at her, really looked, at the woman who'd promised forever and given me betrayal instead. I meant every word, I said. You wanted a baby, Clara, she froze. What are you saying? Now live with what you've created. Her eyes widened, horror and guilt twisting her face. You're leaving? I didn't answer. I grabbed my coat and walked toward the door. Please, she cried, following me. Don't go. We can start over. I stopped at the doorway. You already did, I said. Just not with me. The silence that followed was unbearable. Only her sobs filled the room. I opened the door, the cool night air hitting my face. Where will you go? She asked between gasps. Anywhere but here, I said. Somewhere I can finally breathe. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. Her voice broke through one last time, muffled and desperate. Aaron, please. I didn't turn back. Every sound, the crying, the pleading, faded into the quiet hum of the night. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness, not healing, just the cold relief of truth. And as I walked away, I whispered to myself, it's over. When I pulled up outside Daniel's house, Elena was already on the porch, arms folded, eyes sharp. You said you had something I needed to see, she said. I nodded and handed her the envelope. You deserve the truth, she frowned, opening it slowly. The papers fluttered in the wind, messages, photos, clinic results. I watched her face shift from confusion to disbelief, then horror. No, she whispered. Tell me this isn't real. It's real, I said quietly. Clara and Daniel. It's been going on for months. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. He swore he was helping you through your rough patch, she said bitterly. Turns out he was helping himself. I sighed. I'm sorry, Elena, I should have come sooner. She looked at me, her voice low but steady. No, I'm glad you did. Just then, Daniel stepped outside. Elena, what's going on? She turned toward him, holding up the photos. You tell me, Daniel. What the hell is this? His expression froze. Where did you get those? From me, I said. His eyes met mine, full of panic. Aaron, come on, man, we can talk. Talk? I cut him off. You've done enough talking behind my back. Elena's voice cracked. You lied to me, Daniel. To both of us, he reached out to her. Please, it wasn't like that. Don't, she said, stepping away. You disgust me, he tried again, desperate. Elena, I love you, she laughed harshly. You don't even know what love means. She looked back at me. Thank you for showing me. I'm done. And just like that, she walked past him, her heels clicking against the porch, her face pale but fierce. Daniel turned to me, fury replacing fear. You ruined my life! No, I said. You did that yourself. He lunged toward me, but I didn't move. He stopped halfway, breathing hard. You think this makes you better than me? No, I said. Just free. I left him standing there, shouting something I didn't care to hear. 2 days later, the fallout began. I heard through the grapevine that Elena had filed for separation. Then the office gossip spread. Someone had leaked the affair. Daniel's name was everywhere. When I passed his department, whispers followed. I didn't say a word. By the end of the week, his desk was empty. That same afternoon, Clara called me. Her voice shook. They fired me. They said it was because of the scandal. I'm not surprised, I said quietly. Please, Aaron, I'm begging you, she said. You don't understand how hard this is. I understand perfectly, I said. You made your choice, she sobbed. I thought you'd feel better seeing me suffer, I hesitated. I thought so too. There was silence for a moment, just her breathing and my heartbeat. Then I said it. The truth I'd been afraid to admit. Revenge felt like holding broken glass, Clara. It cut both of us. She didn't respond. The line went dead. That night I stayed late at the office. Everyone else had gone home except Sophie. She was sitting by the window typing softly. She looked up as I passed. Rough day? I managed a weak smile. Something like that. She tilted her head. You want to talk about it? I hesitated. You'd regret asking. I doubt it, she said gently. I sat across from her, words tumbling out before I could stop them. Everything fell apart. The lies, the anger, the proof, it all came out. And now that it's over, I thought I'd feel something. Satisfaction, maybe, but all I feel is empty. She didn't interrupt, just listened. I ruined their lives, I said, and maybe they deserved it. But watching them fall didn't fix me. Sophie leaned forward slightly. You didn't ruin them? You just stopped protecting their lies. Her calmness disarmed me. You make it sound noble, I said. It's not noble, she replied. It's human. I looked down at my hands. It doesn't feel human. It feels hollow, she smiled faintly. That's because you cared. People who don't care don't feel hollow. They feel nothing. For a long time, I said nothing. The city lights glowed outside the window, soft and distant. Finally, I whispered, I don't know how to start over. You don't need to know, she said. You just need to stop looking backward. Her voice was steady, kind. No judgment, no pity. Something inside me loosened for the first time in months. Thanks, Sophie, I said quietly. For listening, she smiled again. Anytime. As I stood to leave, I caught my reflection in the glass. I looked older, maybe wiser, definitely tired, but not broken. Walking out of the office, I realized that for the first time, I didn't feel alone. When I opened my door that morning, the air was still, almost expectant. A white envelope lay on the doormat, no return address, just my name written in her handwriting. For a long moment, I stared at it. My chest felt tight. Then I picked it up and went inside. Sophie noticed the envelope in my hand when I got to the office. You look like you saw a ghost, she said. Maybe I did, I murmured, setting it on my desk. She frowned. You're not going to open it? I hesitated. It's from Clara, her expression softened. Do you want me to leave you alone? No, I said, my voice low. I think I need someone here in case I fall apart again. Sophie gave a small nod. Then I'm not going anywhere. I slid my finger under the flap and unfolded the letter. Her scent, faint, familiar, rose from the paper like a memory that refused to fade. I started reading. Aaron, if you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to face what I did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to be remembered. I just needed you to know that I think about it every single day. About you. About him. About everything I destroyed. My throat tightened. I kept reading. You once told me love was a choice, not a feeling. I didn't believe you. I thought excitement was love, attention was love, desire was love. I was wrong. You gave me peace, and I mistook it for boredom. I traded it for chaos. I don't even know why I stopped. Sophie's voice was soft. What does it say? She's sorry, I whispered. Sorry for everything, but she doesn't even know why she did it. Sophie leaned closer. That kind of confusion. That's its own punishment. I stared at the page again. I ruined the only person who loved me selflessly. I see your face every night, and I wonder if you ever smile now. I hope you do. Even if it's not because of me, I felt my hands shake. The ink blurred as my eyes filled. You deserved someone better than the woman I became. Maybe you found her. If you did, I hope she treats you with the kindness I never learned to give. Please don't hate me forever. I already do that enough for both of us. That was the last line. I read it twice, then folded the letter carefully. Sophie watched me. Do you feel better? No, I said. Just tired. What are you going to do with it? I looked down at the letter, then out the window. End it. She didn't question me. She just followed when I walked outside. We stood by the dumpster behind the building. I struck a match and held the flame close to the paper. Sophie whispered, Are you sure? I nodded. It's the only way she stops living here, I said, tapping my chest. The fire caught fast, curling the edges until her words turned to ash. I watched silently, the smoke twisting upward like a ghost finding peace. Sophie's voice was almost a whisper. How does it feel? Like I buried something I should have let die months ago, I said. But this time it's final. She placed a hand on my arm. That's not weakness, Aaron, that's closure. For a moment I couldn't speak. The crackle of burning paper was the only sound. When the last ember died, I said softly, She said she hopes I smile again. Sophie looked at me. Then maybe you should. I met her eyes. It's hard, I know, she said. But maybe peace starts small. A breath, a laugh, a walk that doesn't end in regret. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. You make it sound simple. It isn't, she said with a faint smile. But you've done harder things. We walked back inside. The world felt quieter, lighter somehow. Later that evening, as we were leaving, Sophie stopped me by the door. You okay? I thought about the ashes, the smoke, the words I didn't need anymore. Yeah, I said finally. For the first time in a long time, I think I might be. She smiled. Good, because I like seeing you breathe again. That line stayed with me as I drove home. When I got there, the smell of burnt paper still clung to my jacket. I didn't wash it off. I wanted to remember that moment, not her, not the pain, but the freedom that followed. I stood by the window, watching the city lights blur against the dark sky. For the first time, my reflection didn't look haunted. Goodbye. Clara, I whispered, and in the silence that followed, I felt something shift inside me. Not grief, not anger, but peace. The air was crisp when I stepped out of the car, the kind that smells like rain and beginnings. My new house stood quietly at the end of the street, nothing grand but peaceful. I ran my hand along the railing, the wood smooth and unscarred. So this is it, I said aloud, half to the wind, half to myself. Sophie had helped me move in last week. She'd smiled when I told her I didn't want anything from the old place. Not even the furniture? She'd asked. Not even the memories, I'd replied. Now, standing there alone, I finally understood what I meant. The man who once lived for Clara's smile didn't exist anymore. He'd burned away with her lies, leaving something quieter in his place. My phone buzzed. A text, Elena. I'm at the park. Thought you might want to talk. I stared at the screen for a while before typing back. On my way. The drive was short, but my thoughts were long. I hadn't seen Elena since the fallout, the day we watched our lives collapse side by side, not from love, but from betrayal. When I arrived, she was sitting on a bench under a maple tree, her hands folded in her lap. She looked lighter, Not happy, but free. "Hey," I said quietly as I approached. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Hey, Aaron. It's been a while. Yeah, a lifetime, it feels like." I sat beside her. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable, just honest. "How's Daniel?" I asked finally. She let out a dry laugh. "Divorced, alone, regretting everything. I heard he moved to another city. Probably trying to outrun himself." I nodded slowly. "He'll never be fast enough." She glanced at me. "And Clara? She sent that letter months ago. Haven't heard from her since," Elena sighed. "Do you still think about her?" I considered the question. Sometimes. Not in the same way. It's like remembering a storm. You don't miss it, but you remember how it felt to survive it. She smiled faintly. "That's poetic." "Maybe. Or maybe it's just exhaustion dressed up as wisdom." She laughed softly, then looked at the trees swaying above us. "You seem different." "I am," I admitted. "I used to think forgiveness was about letting someone off the hook. But it's really about setting yourself free." "Did you forgive her?" I exhaled slowly. "Yeah, not for her. For me?" Elena nodded, her eyes glistening slightly. "I tried to hate Daniel. I wanted to. But hate's heavy, you know? It keeps you anchored to the past." I looked at her. "So you let go too?" She nodded. "Eventually. Took time, therapy, tears. But yeah, I'm getting there." For a while, we just sat there, watching a child chase pigeons near the fountain. The laughter carried through the air, soft and pure. "Do you ever wonder," I said quietly, "what we could have been if none of it happened?" Elena smiled sadly. "Maybe weaker. Maybe naive forever. Maybe we needed the pain to learn how strong we could be." Her words settled deep in me. She was right. I wasn't broken anymore, just rebuilt differently. I leaned back on the bench. It's strange. I thought revenge would fix me, but it only emptied me. Forgiveness, though, that filled the cracks. She turned to me. "Then maybe we're the lucky ones. Survivors," I said softly. "Not victims." We both smiled, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel forced. As the sun dipped lower, painting the park in gold, I stood. "I should get going. Still have boxes to unpack." Elena rose too. "You'll be okay, Aaron." "I know," I said with quiet certainty. We hugged briefly. No tears, no lingering. Just mutual understanding between two people who'd walked through fire and come out scarred but standing. When I turned to leave, she called out, "Hey!" I looked back. She smiled. "You found yourself, didn't you?" I paused, then nodded. "Yeah, some people lose everything to find themselves." Her smile widened and she waved. "Then it was worth it." As I walked away, her words echoed in my head. Worth it. Maybe it was. The sky was streaked with orange when I reached my car. I caught my reflection in the window, calm eyes, steady breath. The man staring back wasn't bitter, wasn't broken. He was just free. I got in, started the engine, and whispered to the quiet, goodbye to who I was. Then I drove toward the horizon, toward the peace I'd spent a lifetime running from, finally ready to live, not survive.